Like to call to order the Tuesday, June 18th, 2019 meeting of the Dana Point City Council. Madam Clerk, can you call the roll, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. All members of the City Council are present.
Mr. Munoz, is there a need for closed session?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we have 3 items. The first is a conference with legal counsel as a result of anticipated litigation due to the significant exposure to litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D1. We have 1 case to discuss. Next is a conference with legal counsel in connection with existing litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D1. We have 1 case to discuss. It's the matter of the Housing is a Human Rights versus City of Dana Point. United States District Court for the Central District of California, Southern Division, case number 18CV00155-DOCKES. And last, we have a public employee performance evaluation pursuant to Government Code Section 54957 involving the city manager. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, any public comments?
We do not. Thank you.
Okay, I'll go ahead and recess the meeting until 6 p.m. All right. I'd like to reconvene the city council meeting of June 18th. We're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be delivered by Mayor Pro Tem Wyatt, and please remain standing for the invocation. Is the OCFA chaplain here? Oh, Morgan Hansen's going to handle that for us tonight. All right, thanks.
Rise, place your right hand over your heart, face the flag, and repeat after me. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Uncover. Lord, we come before you tonight just to say thank you again for a wonderful city, a wonderful council, and a wonderful staff. We are so blessed in this community to have what we have and have the budget that's been allowed for us, and we can keep it and we can actually extend and do some beautiful things for our community. And we just thank you for all you do for all of us. We appreciate you, and we cannot express it kind enough for our police or first responders, all you people that do so much. We thank you, and God bless you, and amen.
Amen. Okay, that brings us to presentations and proclamations. Tonight for our first presentation, we have the Orange County Human Relations Report. Is Bill Wood here? There he is. Come on up and.
Good evening.
Thank you.
I think this is about my 7th or 8th year of coming before you, and it's certainly my pleasure. And if you're wondering why I'm always the one, it's because of him. I have to keep an eye on my son-in-law.
We blame everything on Matt.
I know. And these guys are watching him.
That's right.
Anyway, I'm here tonight to report on some of the work of our nonprofit organization, OC Human Relations, in the city of Dana Point over the last year, and present you with copies of our annual report. We believe that all people have a right to live free from discrimination and violence, so we provide programs to create safe and respectful communities. Our mission to build understanding among our diverse residents is more important now than ever. We continue to see divisions and strife among leaders and even neighbors locally and across our nation. That has not swayed us from our belief that we can work together and that we can be better at what we do. OC Human Relations partners with cities to manage challenging issues such as the lack of civil discourse, meaningful participation of all residents, and in the decision-making process, and overcoming the mistrust that can make every police community encounter more dangerous for both sides. Cities and schools call on us regularly to help in community building. Many of our programs are provided countywide and beyond. This year, our No Hate Public Awareness and Education campaign has expanded statewide and will include training and tools for cities, counties, and schools that would like to launch their own campaigns to prevent hate-motivated behavior, and we would welcome your participation as well. But we would like to share the following information about our programming exclusively in Dana Point over the last year. We mediated 13 cases as well as family mediations in the courts and community where one of the parties was a resident of the city of Dana Point. In collaboration with Dana Point Police, with individuals and community groups, we documented 1 hate crime this last year. We worked to build a sense of community among Dana Point residents and staff through our continued hate crime education, victim outreach, and support. In conclusion, OC Human Relations has appreciated your city's membership in the city's dues program. It brings police and diverse residents together to build safe, respectful neighborhoods. It develops positive relations among the broad spectrum of Dana Point residents and addresses community conflict and strife, and sustains a human relations infrastructure to serve cities when crises do occur. So I would like to leave with you this evening the certificate of your membership and also our annual report. Give that to you. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Woodham. Appreciate you coming in and give us that report. That brings us to our next presentation. It's for OCFA Drowning Prevention Awareness. Could Division Chief Capobianco join me up here? For those of you that don't know, this is our Division Chief, Rob Capobianco. We live in Laguna Beach, right? Wow. Okay, we got to take a look at our salaries at OCFA. Some of these guys out here agree with me. Hey, thanks for coming out. OCFA has been sponsoring the drowning prevention awareness program for what, the last 5 years? Is it longer than that?
Even longer than that. Last 10.
Has it been 10 plus? So Dana Point would like to present you with a proclamation recognizing the drowning prevention. This is something that a lot of times we don't think about. It really, we have the ocean here. We had a drowning yesterday, unfortunately, and it was something I like to address. I hear a lot of people complaining that even on paddle boards, we require our residents to wear life jackets. And we had a drowning yesterday from the individual who was on a paddle board, had a leash on their ankle, and unfortunately didn't survive. So it's important that you respect the water, even if you're in the ocean or harbor where you don't think there's a lot of current or swell. And so we just want to present this to the Orange County Fire Authority. I could read this whole thing to you, but I don't know. We've done this. Do you want me to? I can. Okay, I'm just going. There's a lot of whereases and whereases there, but I'll just jump to the bottom. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City of Dana Point supports the Orange County Fire Authority Board of Directors' participation and to always watch your child around water and never swim alone 2019 campaigns and encourages all residents, schools, recreational facilities, businesses, and homeowners associations to become partners in preparedness and increasing their knowledge of proper safety measures in drowning prevention.
So this one really hits home for me. I was an ocean lifeguard for 15 years before this career. I had the pleasure of working alongside the city manager, Mark Denny, for several of those years. And when I was thinking tonight about what I can say to maybe leave an impact, there's so many stats and there's all these bullet points of things that we can and can't do. But I want to share one experience that I had that I can't shake. I'll be honest with you. The worst call I've ever had, the one that's left the biggest impact in my 22-year career, has been walking into the backyard and being handed a small child that was found down in a pool. We all, first responders, military, we all take things home with us. And that's one from 18 years ago that still seems like yesterday. And what's frustrating for me is that it's so preventable. None of us think that it can happen. I actually had a close call while in the pool with my son after being a lifeguard for 15 years. It happened so quick. The two things I want to point out, physical barriers. Most of the child drownings are children getting through a sliding glass door, getting into that pool when nobody's expecting it. The other thing is the Water Watcher program. I used to laugh at it, being an ocean lifeguard. It's silly putting a tag on. Have somebody watch the water. Unless somebody is dedicated to doing that, these accidents and tragedies still happen. So if we can, as a group here, if we can prevent one of these things from happening, last year Orange County had 5 of them, of children under 4 years old. If we can prevent one as a group, then this is worth our time. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, we have another set of proclamations. I'm going to invite Councilmember Vic Sork down. These are the VFW Deputy of the Year, Firefighter of the Year, and Reserve Firefighter of the Year award. Councilmember Vic Sork is actually the chair of the VFW and proposing these different awards.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, good evening, everyone. I am council member Vic Sorick. As Mayor Miller said, I'm here to present the awards for the VFW Law Enforcement, Firefighter, and EMT of the Year. And this is a special occasion for me because not only am I on the city council, but I'm also a member of VFW Post 9934. So I get to take off my city council hat tonight and put on my VFW hat, or cover, as I should call it. Anyways, so I'm also the chairman of the Law Enforcement, Firefighter, and EMT Awards. So I am very privileged to do this. Before I do start doing that, I'd like to invite our commander up, Wayne Yost. If you would come join me, please. And I would also like to invite our district representative, John Muller, up. So let me just give a real brief background on what we're doing here. VFW, we feel real kinship with the local first responders and those who keep us safe here every day at home. So this is an important night for us to recognize those who serve us here at home. So we're really proud to do this. Let me really quickly read for you. There's some criteria that we looked at in determining who the award winners are. And they are recognition by their colleagues or those that they serve, consistent excellence in the performance of their duties, and consistent dedication to their official responsibilities over a period of years, and continuous growth in responsibilities and skills within their profession. I think you'll see tonight that we have that in all three of our award winners. So let me first start with asking our first winner for Law Enforcement Officer of the Year to come up and join us, Deputy Justin Smallwood. Deputy Smallwood, come up here, please. Let me just say a few quick things about Deputy Smallwood. He was born in Fullerton, California. He's a local boy. Got a degree from Cal State Fullerton, and has a wife and 2 children here. Beautiful family, and joined the Orange County Sheriff's Department in 2007.
Yeah, he can come up and see his dad.
I have a list here, and I won't read them all, but as you can see, I have a list of his law enforcement accomplishments and awards. So I just want to list a couple. These are specific instances of Deputy Smallwood keeping all of us safe in this community. So let me just list a couple of them. Deputy Smallwood arrested a local narcotics dealer, seizing 3 ounces of methamphetamine, 1 ounce of heroin, and $5,000 in U.S. currency. Also arrested a suspect for counterfeiting U.S. currency. He's been repeatedly able to locate stolen property from our local residents, and his efforts have led to the return of a $5,000 road bike and $2,000 worth of commercial equipment and a stolen laptop. But that's not just here in Dana Point. He received a written commendation from an investigator in a neighboring city, and also a written commendation from a sergeant for his actions during a use of force incident. The reason I read through this for you is to show you that we have the best law enforcement officers in, I believe, the whole state or even the nation, but I'll keep it simple and say the county, at least, the very least. And I'd also like to mention, I didn't read off of this, but I know you won the Elks Lodge Deputy of the Year, I believe in 2017. I was honored to be there for that as well. So this is a deputy who has established himself, and we are very proud to have him here protecting us every day. That is the award from VFW Post 9934 at the local level. But that's not all. There is a next level. I guess at this point, I'd like to turn it over to our district commander to say a few words.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm a has-been. So, on behalf of the VFW district and the VFW and all of our members, we'd like to thank Deputy Sheriff Justin Smallwood for his efforts to keep your community safe. This is not the first time I've been down here. I was here a couple of years ago, and I had the privilege and honor of being here and helping present these awards to some of your other first responders. And whether you realize it or not, it doesn't happen like this all the time, that so many first responders in the same community are recognized at the higher level. So you're very fortunate. We're very fortunate with the support that the mayor and the council here give to the VFW. Excuse me. And one last thing to remember is, at the present time, there's somewhere between 20 and 22 veterans that attempt or commit suicide a day in this country. And if there's members out there, individuals out there that are veterans, if you need help, contact 9934. They're here to help you. Okay. They've got service officers that will get with you, give you a lift, pick you up, whatever the case it is. I've been so privileged and honored to be a district commander over 9934 and work with the commander here and his team. And I look forward to it for many years to come. So we can get this back in.
So I'm going to hold my comments till the end, if I may, to address all three recipients. So Deputy Smallwood, on behalf of Post 9934, we'd like to present you with this certificate and a check for your wife. Congratulations. Job well done.
We also have one from the city. These are pretty long. I don't think you guys want to hear me read three of them tonight, so I'll just skip to the bottom. Now, therefore, on behalf of the City Council and citizens of Dana Point, I, Joe Miller, Mayor, hereby recognize Deputy Justin Smallwood for his meritorious service to the citizens of Dana Point and the County of Orange. Congratulate him for his selection as Veteran of Foreign Wars Law Enforcement Officer of the Year 2018 and express heartfelt appreciation for his invaluable contributions to the safety of our community. Dated 18th day of June 2019. Deputy Smallwood, congratulations. Margie, why don't you come down, take a picture, but you know what, your deputy should talk. You don't want to bring his boss down.
We know each other. Thank you.
So 3, 1, 2.
And have a stand.
Yes, yes.
On 3, 1, 2, 3.
Just really quickly, I know we don't want to read through all of the commemorative things on there, but I just want to talk about very quickly the thing that separates Justin from a lot of people is that he's not just here to enforce the law. He has incredible judgment and he has an incredible heart. He's extremely humble. And on every call he's gone to, I've gotten some type of compliment about what a fantastic job he's done. The use of force incident that they're talking about was a mentally ill man with an individual for mental health there to try and assist him. And the mentally ill man grabbed a golf club and was prepared to utilize that as a deadly weapon. Deputy Smallwood could have chosen to use lethal force in that moment, but because of his extreme diligence and reserve, he made a conscientious choice to try to save that man's life, as well as not risking that caregiver's life, which means that the person that was at risk was my deputy. And so it takes a very special deputy to put their life on the line for someone who is an immediate threat, not just to the public, but also to his personal safety. We've got his children sitting here. They're incredible little kids. They're going to grow up to be amazing grown-up people. I think I'm going to try and recruit her as a deputy sheriff. He's a little bit young, but I'm coming for you later. But I just want to point that out. And I want to give you all the props and kudos, but I have to point out that he's part of an amazing team. He's on to our directed enforcement team temporarily. So he won't be around the city, but he's passed on all that knowledge to all the men and women that you see standing over there. And I feel truly honored to be able to work with you guys. Thank you so much for your service and your time. And thank you, Jennifer, for letting us have him for a little while.
The strong silent type, we like that. Okay, so we have our next one.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I guess a point of clarification in case it wasn't clear, we do have several levels in our chain of command, so to speak. We start at VFW Post 9934, then we go to the district, District 2 before the state, and then the nation. So we didn't just present an award from 9934, but our nominee, Deputy Smallwood, went to the district and won there as well. So again, another example of how outstanding he is. But no more talking about you, Deputy Smallwood. I'm going on to the next one. Captain Ryan Bishop is our winner of Firefighter of the Year. Would you please join me up here? So again, just a few quick things. Captain Bishop has been assigned here, Fire Station 29, down at Capo Beach for 2 years, correct? Yeah. More or less. And the thing about him is he has been recognized by his peers as a mentor. He's mentored countless probationary employees and taken his own time to assist employees who are seeking promotional opportunities and specialty assignments. And again, as I read the list earlier on, that recognition by your peers is really something we're looking for. And clearly you have that. I wrote down in my notes, he remains a prominent figure in the fire station and keeps in excellent shape. I think you can see that. All right. And a few more things in his professional development. He attended paramedic school, successfully completed a rigorous paramedic internship right here in the city of Dana Point. And he has continued to further his professional career through leadership courses, truck academies, rapid intervention crews under fire, International Association of Firefighter engagements, and various ad hoc committees within the OCFA. One other note I wanted to speak about. On the third page. There it is. And the other thing is his leadership abilities that I wanted to mention. And again, just a specific example, serves both the OCFA and the firefighters through his role as a vice president of Local 3631, representing over 1,000 firefighters in the OCFA. So thank you for that. So again, we are honored as Post 9934 to award our Firefighter of the Year award to you, Captain Bishop. Before I let you talk, I'm going to turn it over to our district commander or past district commander.
I'd basically say ditto from what I said before as far as the support this community has in its first responders. There were numerous individuals from all over the county that were submitted for these programs, and your firefighters, your paramedics, your deputy sheriff were head above the others. Okay, so you're very fortunate, and I'm sure it has saved many lives in your community.
And on behalf of Dana Point Post 9934, Veterans of Foreign Wars, we'd like to present you with this certificate. And is your wife here? Okay, and a check for your wife as well. Congratulations.
You get one more. Captain Bishop, this one's special to me as I'm the chair of OCFA, and your accomplishments and your leadership are very important to us. And I talk to the fire chief about this all the time, that mentoring the younger recruits coming up, the younger firefighters, is an incredibly important thing for our firefighters to do, and our captains. You should be looking at your paramedics or your engineers and making sure that they're getting ready for the captain. Capo, you're out there? I'm seeing battalion chief. Or
That was going to be part of my speech, but I'm going to save it for
Okay. He's from down chief. Sorry, you're never going to get to be president of 3631 because you'll be a battalion chief before you get there. So thank you for everything that you do. Again, we have a long one, but I'm just going to give you the last paragraph. Now, therefore, on behalf of the City Council and citizens of Dana Point, I, Joe Miller, Mayor, hereby recognize Captain Ryan Bishop for his meritorious service to the citizens of Dana Point, the County of Orange. Congratulate him for his selection as Veteran of Foreign Wars Law Enforcement Officer of the Year 2018. It should be firefighter. We're going to have to change this before. Hey, Jackie, we have to change this one. 2018, and express heartfelt appreciation for his invaluable contributions to the safety of our community. Again, Captain, thank you so much. Capo, did you want anything?
wanted this opportunity to get even for 22 years. So, first of all, I can't say enough about Ryan. He's a natural leader. He gained the respect of the people he works with early in his career. But my biggest thing is he's extremely humble. He's the first one to point out the actions of his crews, but wants little to no attention ever on himself. So when I went through the academy, I was the academy after Ryan. And then I went to Station 22, which Ryan was at. And all I heard for 6 months is, this is what Ryan used to do. This is how Ryan used to do this. Ryan used to make muffins in the morning. Ryan would sneak in, correct me if I'm wrong, Ryan would sneak into the captain's dorm at night and take his boots and shine them up every night. So that's what I heard for 6 months. So the fact that I can get Ryan up in front of you and have him sweat a little bit is a little bit of payment. Now back to natural leader. We absolutely need leadership in our organization. Ryan is, in my mind, is a perfect example of that. And when I hand him the microphone to say something, I'm going to hope that we can all hold him and get him to promise that he will be taking the next battalion chief's test. So I've been hitting him up, and in front of all of you as our witness, we'll give him the chance to take that challenge.
Thank you. First and foremost, thank you, gentlemen, for your years of service to provide us all the opportunity to fly our flag on our front porch or on the eaves of our homes daily. I'm not fond of these moments, I'm not going to lie. I don't think anybody truly is. But I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my beautiful wife and my family supporting me from day one, and the people that came before me, the people amongst me, and the people that are ahead of us currently. So it's not just a one-person show, as you guys all know. It does take a team, sometimes an army. So this award, I do appreciate it, and I will pass on that recognition to my crew as well. Because they make me who I am, as well as my family and my wife and my 4 kids. I can't thank you guys enough. Being a resident of the city and also getting to work in the city is a unique opportunity. So I get to see the good, the bad, and the ugly. A lot of the officers I recognize and I know, and I appreciate your hard work and your support and your willingness to do things that, quite frankly, I'm not willing to do. So thank you. I appreciate it. And I'm not going to promise to anything on. I'm actually surprised they gave me the mic, being the vice president of the local. I think the mayor's probably like, hey, get back. So, okay, perfect. But no, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Okay, on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Okay, thank you very much. That actually brings us to our last award tonight, which is our EMT of the year. So if I could, I'd like to ask Reserve Firefighter Steve McIntyre to come up and join us. Again, just a few quick words about why we think this is a deserving award winner for EMT of the year. For those of you who don't know, reserve firefighters are all EMTs, and reserve firefighters have a special place in my heart, being a reservist myself in the military. And so I understand what it takes to be a reservist. This is not his full-time job. And I don't know, actually, if you're still employed or not. Yeah. Okay. But he has a full-time job when he's not serving as a reserve firefighter. So this is definitely going above and beyond. And it's not just he's gone above and beyond. He's been going above and beyond for 23 years. And again, the longevity and the respect of your peers is something that we were looking for. And we are so blessed here in Dana Point to have individuals like you that not only work your day job, give up your time at home from your loved ones, but then also volunteer time, become a reserve firefighter as well. So from the bottom of my heart and on behalf of VFW Post 9934, I want to say thank you and congratulations. I will now turn it over to our past district commander.
Well, EMTs are, I'll say, have a special place in my heart. Okay. Years ago, I had to perform something with my nephew, and my nephew is alive today because of it. And I had been taught by a firefighter / EMT how to take care of it. It's affected my family directly. Firefighters, sheriffs, police, EMTs, they're all a special breed of person. And then you take an individual that has a full-time job somewhere else, maybe he's a bean counter or a realtor or whatever, and then he comes off of 8 or 10 hours there, comes on and does this. And if he's not doing it at the engine level at the time, he's probably studying to make sure he remembers how to do things under pressure. You're to be complimented, and thank you very much.
So Steve, on behalf of the Veterans of Foreign Wars, Post 9934 Dana Point, we'd like to present you with this certificate and a check. Do you have a wife? Yes, I do. Okay. Is she here? Okay, make sure. If not, I'll get it to her personally. Congratulations.
See, so reserve firefighters play a pivotal role in what OCFA does. We are entering into our wildfire season, which quite frankly, the entire year for California now is a wildfire season. But we do a lot of outside the county joint aid. We send crews up to the big fires. We were up in the Campfire Fire last year. And when that happens, we need to backfill a lot of these positions. And what people don't understand, sometimes that's happening with the reserve firefighters. And like Councilmember Stork said, they have full-time jobs, but they become on call. So they could get called at 3 o'clock in the morning and say, hey, we need you down at the station, get you ready and get ready to go. It's at a moment's notice. It's not scheduled most of the time. Sometimes it is, most of the time it's not. And so they have to be ready to go to moment's notice. And like the past, what's your title again? Okay. What Chair said, yeah, past district commander said, they don't train every day. And so they have to take that on by themselves. They do have training days down at the stations, but most of the time they're taking that on by themselves to stay sharp. So this is a big pivotal role for OCFA. And the chief and I have had a lot of discussions about, why aren't we hiring more of our reservists right up and to become full-time firefighters. I don't know if you're interested in that anymore, but we may have missed our window on you. So anyway, so thank you for all your service, and I'm just going to give you the end of yours. Now, therefore, on behalf of the City Council and the citizens of Dana Point, I, Joe Miller, Mayor, hereby recognize Steve McIntyre for his meritorious service to the citizens of Dana Point and congratulate him for his selection as Veteran of Foreign Wars Reserve Firefighter of the Year 2018 and express heartfelt appreciation for his invaluable contributions to the safety of our community. Again, Steve, thank you so much.
I'd just like to thank Orange County Fire Authority and Dana Point for giving me the opportunity to be a service to the community. Thank you.
I get to say something first, though.
Oh,
Steve has been the backbone of our reserve program out of 30s. Like was stated, 23 years is unheard of. So many of us have every good intention of getting involved with community, giving back, volunteering our time. But then the reality of life catches up. And although many of us have very positive and good intentions, not many people pull off what Steve has done. 23 years of volunteer service to this city. So many of us, I know Ryan and I both were part of the program because we wanted a job out of it. So few people actually give back to the cities and their communities purely because they want to. A true volunteer, there's not many of you left in the ranks, and I really appreciate the time and dedication that you've given us. Thank you.
So on three. 1, 2, 3.
No, I got it. Come on. Yeah, can I have all three of the winners up?
Did you want to address the three before I speak?
The Veterans of Foreign Wars of the United States has approximately 6,600 posts and 1.5 million members worldwide. The organization in general is involved in a tremendous amount of community activities, cultural activities, and educational activities. Our post here in Dana Point in particular is involved in virtually all of these programs. There's a reason why we all live in this city. Yes, it's a beautiful location. Yes, we have a lot of art, music, and cultural events. Yes, the weather is nice 300 days a year, and the other 65 aren't too shabby. But we have something very unique in our community, and that is that we can feel safe here. And this is the reason why. And it's with great pride that our Veterans of Foreign Wars post and our district, Southern California district, has presented these awards to you. You're the reason why we all live here, and we thank you for that. So in addition to these certificates and the checks, I'm going to present each of you with our Defender bracelets. They depict all the branches of military service, Army, Navy, Marines, Coast Guard, and Air Force, as well as all the major conflicts that our country's been involved with since World War I. I always wear mine, and hopefully you'll wear yours proudly as well.
Take risks. Congratulations.
On 3. 1, 2.
Congratulations. Thank you. Well, thank you very much for being here. And do you guys have any kids? You want some trolleys for them?
I have 4 kids.
I got 4 of them.
I'm telling you, glad I didn't bring them.
Here you go. Some trolleys for them. Thank you. Collector's items. It's what keeps selling. Okay, that brings us to the reading of the ordinances and titles, and we have none tonight, so we're onto the consent calendar. All matters listed on the consent calendar are considered to be routine and will be enacted by one roll call vote. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless members of the city council, public, or staff request specific items to be removed from the consent calendar for separate action. Madam Clerk, do we have anything to be removed by the public?
No, Mr. Mayor.
From staff?
No, sir.
Council? I'll go ahead and move the consent calendar.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that passes unanimously. And that brings us to the public comments portion of our presentation. There will be a 3-minute time limit per person and an overall time limit of 30 minutes for the public comments portion of the agenda. At the mayor's discretion, the balance of public comments will be heard after the new business portion of the agenda. All comments are to be directed to the city council and should not consist of any personal attacks. Members of the public are expected to maintain a professional, courteous decorum during their comments. State law prohibits the city council from taking action on a specific item unless it appears on the posted agenda. The city clerk will distribute any handouts you may have. Please state your name and city of residence for the record. Thank you. All right, we have quite a few tonight. First up is Joe Jagger, followed by Cassandra Andreas and Carol Wilson.
Good evening. Joe Jager, Monarch Beach. My comments this evening regard the Dana Point Trolley Hop event of June 15th. I am here to voice my outrage at the use of City of Dana Point assets and services to support an event in conjunction with the Dana Point Taxpayers Association. Examples of city assets and services used by the Dana Point Taxpayers Association included the use of city trolley services and signs promoting the event at trolley stops throughout the city. The Dana Point Taxpayers Association is a political action committee that supported Mueller, Visoric, and Federico in the November 2018 election. It is currently facing a lawsuit by Sanford Edward for libel. It engaged in a disgraceful smear campaign against me, as well as candidates Payne and McGinn during the November 2018 election. The fact that the city of Dana Point worked with a political action committee that supported the city council majority in the November 2018 election raises a number of important questions. First, a website promoting the event indicated that the event was sponsored by the Dana Point Taxpayers Association and indicated the PAC's FPPC number. In other words, did the event really serve as a political fundraiser? Two, who from the city served as the liaison between the city and the political action committee? And who served as the DPTA liaison? Third, who is currently in possession of the funds raised by the event and to whom are they being distributed? The event's promotional material leads you to believe that the purpose of the event was to support local Dana Point businesses, which is a worthy goal. However, was the real purpose to raise funds for candidates supported by the PAC for the 2020 election? During the November election, 1,126 votes were cast for me by the residents of Monarch Beach. They were disgusted by the PAC smear campaign. Can you imagine their outrage if they attended the event and were to learn that they were duped into contributing to the Dana Point Taxpayers Association PAC? The mayor needs to explain why city assets and services were provided to the Dana Point Taxpayers Association Political Action Committee. Thank you.
Mr. Denny, was the Charlie Hop a city-sponsored event?
No, sir.
Thank you. Cassandra Andreas.
Cassandra Andreas, Monarch Beach. I'll be brief. Joe has basically laid out the plan. I walked in this evening angry, but after seeing this beautiful presentation of our city workers here and all the plaques that were given to such worthy men, now my feeling is disappointment. Disappointment with this cloud that has been placed over the city with the activity of the trolley last Saturday. My question as well is, where did this money go to? Who sponsored it? And my understanding is that a city should be apolitical. Are we apolitical? Ask yourselves that. Thank you.
Carol Wilson, followed by Charles Payne and Wayne Yost.
Good evening, Carol Wilson, Capistrano Beach. A friend of mine was coming to visit me this Saturday from out of town. We were planning on going to the car show in San Clemente and then taking the Dana Point trolley hop in the afternoon. As I browsed the details of the event, deciding Friday night as to which places we wanted to visit on the trolley hop, I noticed DPTA was the sponsor. I stopped and thought, wasn't that the dark money PAC that attacked several candidates in the last city council election with outright lies, spending somewhere around $30,000 to elect their candidates? Sure enough, it was. I decided then and there we weren't going to attend. If a PAC is having a fundraiser to support the radical views with dark money, you pay in cash, you get no receipt for your mug. Isn't that illegal? Not to mention promoting it as if it is a city-sponsored event and making it appear as if it is benefiting our local businesses. Some of the restaurants that participated, I'm guessing Lux, since they were the ones providing the mugs to the online ticket buyers, if they wish to promote these radical PACs, they should just make a private contribution, not take part in an underhanded fundraiser for a PAC. Some restaurants may have been 100% in bed with this PAC, but others may not have even been aware what DPLA is. If you are curious and you think a fundraiser for a PAC and you don't approve is benefiting for your unknowing donation when you just wanted to have a good time, you may want to ask when you visit these restaurants: Brio, Luciana's, Hennessy's, Stillwater, Harbor Deli, Sunsets, Gamel's, Pepe's, Taco Surf, The Shack, Beach Grill, and The Point. I have to wonder if the city attorney was even contacted on this matter. Big money is ruining our beach town vibe of it's party time in Dana Point. We just want to have a good time enjoying ourselves with the neighbors and friends and keep politics out of harboring the good life. We managed to have fun anyway. We rode the trolley to the Porsche show at Sea Terrace Park.
Mr. Denny, could you please again state, was this a city-sponsored event?
No, sir.
Thank you. That's Charles Payne. I guess it's going to be read, his comments will be read by Carol Wilson.
Charles Payne was not available to come tonight, so he prepared this, and I'm going to read this for him. This is language I don't usually use, so help me as I stumble through this. First, let me say that I think a trolley hop is a great idea to showcase our city, our business community, and our terrific trolley program. If it's an actual city-sponsored event, like most believed it was, even the local paper was fooled. In fact, this event, and maybe the previous four, were political fundraisers deceptively marketed as city-sponsored events. The organizers used a color scheme and graphics that mimicked official city communications. They posted their advertising on city directory signposts alongside city signage, and they included city-generated imagery and web links to their website. All of it seems designated to give the false impression that the Trolley Hop is an official city event rather than a political fundraiser. I doubt many people who purchased a $10 mug knew they were giving it to a local political PAC. I wonder if they knew their cash might be spent on legal defense for that PAC's ongoing defamation lawsuit. I suppose many of our local businesses, most of whom try to stay above the political fray, were also duped into participating. I wonder how many had no idea their participation could be considered an in-kind contribution to a political PAC. Restaurants had to offer food and drink specials at or below specific price points to participate and entice the public to purchase the $10 mug. So if they offered a $10 cocktail for $5, then every discounted drink sold constitutes a $5 in-kind political contribution that has to be reported. False advertising is a misdemeanor and a civil tort with actual and punitive damages. Government Code 8314 makes it unlawful for a city official to permit others to use public resources for a campaign activity. The city is arguably a stop from denying the knowledge that a PAC was using public resources for political purposes. Mayor Miller was featured prominently on social media, displaying his $10 mug in a post that stated it was a political event. He knew or reasonably should have known, and as our mayor, his knowledge is impugned to the city. Surely Mayor Miller understands the legal problems to which he has exposed our city through his tacit endorsement of this event and apparent ratification of PAC's action. Mayor Mueller was a participant in the event. Council member Frederico is a subject in an ongoing state investigation over his alleged collaboration with the same PAC during the campaign. And the three-member council majority all benefited from about $28,000 in political spending by this PAC. I don't expect the city to take any serious action. With these serious conflicts of interest, we can look forward to the same political swamp continuing to thrive in our little town.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson. Wayne Yost, followed by Mark McGinn, Rory and Tanya Hood, and Tony Nelson.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council, staff, community. My name is Wayne Yost, 37-year resident of Dana Point, commander of VFW Post 9934. On a lighter note, each year for the past 7 years, the Dana Hills High School has sponsored a patriotic Honor the Valor football game in which they honor veterans in our community. This year, the game will be held on September 13th. It features a dinner for participating veterans and their families, a pregame ceremony, a football game, a halftime patriotic ceremony performed by the Dana Point cheerleaders and cheer squad. And at the conclusion of the game, the jerseys that each player wears, which is embroidered with each veteran's individual name, is taken off by the players and handed to the veterans on the sideline in a very moving ceremony. I have a flyer here, which I'll leave with our city clerk. And if acceptable, hopefully we can get it posted on the city's website. The deadline for veterans to register for this event is June 30th, so it's coming up in a week and a half. You can either, if you can post it online, fine. If not, the Dana Hills High School website has an application, and you can also pick up application forms downstairs of City Hall at our VFW office. It's a well-attended event. It's family friendly, and I would highly recommend that all the members of our community come out and support our veterans. On a different note, the U.S. House of Representatives has a bill that's been stalled for some time now. And tonight, being that we honored our first responders, I think it's apropos that I mention that this bill involves funding for the first responders who suffered illnesses and even death as a result of their response to the 9/11 tragedy in New York and at the Pentagon. I urge the members of our community to contact their U.S. representatives and ask them that they please pass this bill through so that needed medical and other financial compensation can be given to our heroic responders. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Yost. Mark McGinn.
My name is Mark McGinn. I live in Dana Point. I'm an ordinary citizen of Dana Point. In 2018, I ran for city council in District 2. I felt strongly that residents needed a voice in local government, and unfortunately, I lost. Late in the race, the Dana Point Taxpayers Association paid for a series of negative advertisements that flat out lied about me. And some of you benefited from that. They said I had an affiliation with a real estate developer, which is not the case. There was never any such affiliation. All political donations are public record, and anybody with a computer or a cell phone can research that. However, the Dana Point Taxpayers Association is listed as Mr. Vixorik's donor, $2,497 to quote unquote oppose McGinn. Mayor Mueller and Council Member Federico were also had donations from that organization to oppose Jaeger and oppose Payne. The Dana Point Taxpayers Association's false advertisements that were published about me and two other candidates resulted in a lawsuit that quote unquote is for disseminating a campaign flyer that includes false statements in direct violation of California Civil Code 45. This past weekend, the Dana Point Taxpayers Association sponsored the Trolley Hop, an event that used Dana Point trolleys to sell mugs and t-shirts and to raise funds for the Dana Point Taxpayers Association. Assemblyman Bill Bro's Facebook page published a picture of Mr. Bro and Mayor Mueller and others holding these mugs in front of the city's trolleys. As a target of the Dana Point's taxpayers' lies, I am appalled. I am appalled that the city of Dana Point would allow their trolleys to be used for this fundraiser. The residents of Dana Point are owed an explanation, and to Mayor Mueller, council members Vixorik and Federico, and city manager Mr. Denny, were you aware of this and were you responsible for it? Is it now the policy of our city government to support and help raise funds for a scandalous and politically biased organization that spreads lies about a Dana Point resident? Thank you.
Rory and Tanya Hood.
Hello, I'm Rory Hood. I'm here with my wife Tanya, and I just have one question of Dana Point. I have one question for you. Do you have a check for my wife too? Try to loosen it up a little bit here. All right, anyway, for the most part, we live in Scottsdale, Arizona, and we've always had this dream to live here in Orange County, and during the summers to escape the heat. Quite a few years ago, we fell in love with Dana Point. We purchased a home here about 10 years ago on Crystal Lantern. We absolutely adore this place. You guys are doing a great job and we're excited and impressed with the developments and improvements that's going on here in the city. But first, we purchased that house with fully intended to rent it while we are not here, which is a lot of months during the winter. We were lucky to have our father, who's from Michigan, stay here during the winter months and enjoy this beautiful town. But about a year ago, he's no longer with us. And finally, it was time for us to apply for a short-term rental permit. Here we go. And shocked to find out that the short-term rental permits had been suspended. Now, we understand why, but it's been over 2 years now, and we're wondering what's taking so long. I know that you have a short-term rental subcommittee, which is great, looking at everything. And I've reviewed the survey, and overall it appears very favorable to short-term rentals, but it just doesn't seem like there's enough progress being done. And it's just not fair to those who already have, or it's not fair to those who already have a short-term rental continue to enjoy the benefits while us and others sit in limbo. Can you please help to figure out a way to get this done a little bit more quickly? Our house sits empty many months because of this. And we need the revenue to offset expenses, of course, and we're having a hard time making bills. It appears you're on your way to a final solution and approval, I hope. But again, I'm hoping it doesn't take another 2 years. We're willing to pay for the permit, pay the city taxes. We're willing to follow all the rules. But every day our house and others in our situation sits empty means less revenue for the city and business for the local businesses. And it hurts all of us. Please push to finalize this short-term rental issue. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hood. Tony Nelson, followed by Buddy Hill, Hoyen Ip, and Steve Stewart.
We're going to try the slides, so bear with us. Good evening, Tony Nelson, Capistrano Beach. Last week, there were flyers all over town advertising the annual trolley hop. Like most, I thought it was a fun city event with sponsoring businesses, similar to our concerts in the park. The flyers were posted on city-owned trolley stops displaying our iconic orange circle, plus trolley images and other markings clearly intended to make it look like a city event. If this indeed was not a city-sponsored event, I'm sorry, it surely looked like one. Instead, it was anything but. Furious residents noted a post from Assemblyman Bro's Facebook page with a photo of himself, our mayor, and others with the caption, Dana Point Taxpayers Association's trolley hop. There it is. How could the city allow a highly controversial political PAC to sponsor this great event and to hijack our logo and our symbols? Slide. If this was a private event, why did our proactive code enforcement team allow these deceptive posters to remain on city property for days, contrary to our city ordinances? Slide. And who exactly is behind the Dana Point Taxpayers Association? We don't really know. Their actual donors, officers, and directors are purposely hidden from the public. DPTA is a purely political organization. This is not a charity. It is funded by other PACs and developers like Majestic and Raintree, who actually required city approval for their projects. In 2018, DPTA financed sleazy mailers and a salacious website lying about 3 honest council candidates, ordinary citizens. It is currently the subject of an FPPC investigation and a defamation lawsuit. Here's the flyer spread around town, right here. Next. You can see it's cut off at the top. But the Lantern District Alliance, which also lists no officers, directors, or members, has a different version on their website. Let's see that one. See the little line at the top? It has an important statement that was missing from all the other flyers. Sponsored by Dana Point Taxpayers Association, ID number 1380834. Contributions not deductible for income tax purposes. Contributions. This clearly suggests a fundraiser. Will contributions and profits from mug sales and in-kind donations be reported on their FPPC filings? Mr. Bro clearly knew this was a political event. Did our mayor? Did our city manager, who promoted the event on his Instagram account? Why was this not properly vetted by the city? DPTA's involvement was both insensitive and offensive to the thousands of people who supported 3 good council candidates.
Thank you, Ms. Nelson. Can you wrap that up, please?
Yes. The city owes us a full explanation. The bright line that should exist between the city and partisan politics has been breached. That's sad. Thank you.
Betty Hill.
Or Betty Hill, a Dana Point resident. The trolley incident is the latest example of a troubling underlying issue, the relationship between city councilmen and the DPTA. In 2018, the DPTA conducted a malicious smear campaign to help elect Muller, Vasoric, and Federico. In 2016, the DPTA conducted a campaign supporting Muller, Vasoric, and Tomlinson's Measure I, which helped developers in town center by including huge parking reductions so developers could make more money. Measure I was actually meant to defeat the Town Center Initiative Measure H, but it was soundly defeated by the voters. FPPC filings show that the major contributors to the DPTA have not been Dana Point residents, but other PACs and special interests that made sizable donations. For example, $10,000 by the California Real Estate PAC, $10,000 by Excel Property Management, $10,000 by G&H Holdings, $10,000 by Majestic Housing and Development, $10,000 by Raintree Evergreen LLC, a major town center developer. In one FPPC report, Michael Powers, a town center businessman, was listed as the principal officer. $70,000 of PAC and special interest money, including that of the DPTA, was spent to help Councilman Muller, Vasoric, and Federico be elected. With that kind of money backing council candidates, residents will not be able to compete. Thank you.
Hoya Nip.
Good evening, I'm Hoyan Yip. I have a lightweight subject tonight, styrofoam. So several days ago, I went to a local chain grocery store. I was not prepared to see the egg section has no styrofoam egg cartons. So I asked the store people, I said, did you run out of those? The two of them said, Dana Point banned them just 4 or 5 days ago. So you know me, what I'm going to say next. Do you sell styrofoam coolers? They go, yeah, those should be banned too. Styrofoam is really bad. It should be all banned. You know what else should be banned? So I don't need to tell you what next they said. I already told you. At a farmer's market, a nice couple sell mushrooms in styrofoam box. I told them this before, and they said nobody told them that. So last Saturday, I went back. They were still selling them in the styrofoam box. So I guess the city will take care of that. But it reminded me that it's a privilege, probably is a word I should say, that we live here. On a typical day, most people here are inlanders. The ocean to them means a beach day. They bring whatever in and they leave whatever here, and they don't see the whole picture. They don't deal with the consequences. We deal with it. So when we have a ban, that is a strong education to the larger population. So I think we're doing a good job. Thank you.
Thank you. Steve Stewart.
My name is Steve Stewart. I'm a Dana Point resident. Others have very ably covered the points about the Dana Point trolley hop. I think that it's very clear that this event that was actually a political fundraiser was allowed to be presented as a normal and appropriate commercial activity. I would have been glad to participate in it had I known about it at the time. I would never have participated in it had I known that it was actually a fundraiser for the Dana Point Taxpayers Association. I doubt very much that any members of the general public who saw announcements of this realized that the proceeds from the money they spent, or that the indirect contributions that were caused by the restaurateurs who are honoring the mugs and the privilege that went with the mug to buy discounted food. I doubt very much that anyone at all understood what was going on in terms of a political fundraising activity. I think the city owes it to us never to let something like this happen again. And it is a free speech activity. Dana Point Taxpayers Association can do whatever they want on their own time, but there should be no implication of association by any organizations like our Chamber of Commerce or city government having anything to do with Dana Point Taxpayers Association. And to be clear, Dana Point Taxpayers Association has a clear record of slandering local residents and is being sued for that. Local homeowners and residents who ran for council in the 2018 campaign were slandered by false accusations of association with and support from a local developer, Sanford Edward, whose sole offense was that he participated in prior city council campaigns, principally to elect Mayor Mueller and Richard Victoric to the city council in 2014. Dana Point Taxpayers Association will have its day in court and will probably need the funds it raised through the trolley hop to defend itself. It is a shame that a group of people that can so freely make false accusations of their neighbors who run for city office are so careful to conceal their identities and hide their involvement in Dana Point Taxpayers Association. Should an organization with a record so shameful that its members conceal themselves from the public be allowed to have political fundraisers with local city assets and promotion?
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Do we have any more public speakers?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, I'll go ahead and close the public comments.
Mr. Mayor, I also have a comment on the Dana Point Taxpayers Association and
You-
the trolley.
You can do that during your council comments.
I will do that.
Thank you. That brings us to public hearings. We have none tonight. Unfinished business. That brings us to item 11, 2019 Weed Abatement Program, authorization to abate weeds. Mr. Denny, do we have a staff report?
Yes, Matt Schneider's got your staff report tonight.
Good evening, council members. The item under consideration is the second phase of the city's annual weed abatement program. The purpose of this item is to allow affected property owners to raise objections to their identification for abatement. The city council may entertain these objections or overrule them and proceed with abatement. An initial letter went out to 269 parcel owners requesting voluntary compliance to address weed issues by a prescribed due date. 200 of the property owners who received notice have come into compliance. The remaining property owners received a second notice that provided a compliance due date of June 21st and informed them that failure to comply would result in the city abating the weeds at the owner's expense. City staff will account for these costs related to the properties requiring abatement and present a cost report to the city council at a subsequent meeting. The costs will be assessed against each designated property and appear as an assessment on the property tax bill. 2 resolutions have been provided in your staff report this evening, with the adoption of 1 resolution depending on the circumstances of tonight's hearing. The first resolution involves if objections are presented this evening and the council wishes to overrule them. The second is where no objections have been heard. With that, staff recommends the city council open a public hearing to see if there's any objections, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Schneider. Madam Clerk, do we have any public comments?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, I'll close public comments and bring it back. I'm gonna move this item with resolution number 2, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Dana Point, California, hearing no objections and proceedings with weed abatement. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any questions from council?
Are we talking questions or discussion?
Discussion. Mr. Federico? No. Ms. Lewis?
Yes, thank you. Okay, so weed abatement has been something I have been not a fan of, because when you cut weeds, they grow back like weeds about a week later. So I've been slightly frustrated that we've had a lot of vacant lots and a code section that has allowed us in the commercial districts to do something about those vacant lots. And I'm very happy to see the city has now on that path. And I would like to ask our city manager, please, to go over the procedure that the city has instituted to take care of the vacant lots in the commercial districts.
Thank you. And I'd like to thank Matt Schneider and Jeff Rossler, who've taken the lead since the council's amended the code. They've got to go through the process of documenting for the city file that a property has been vacant for 60 days. We're in that process now. We've identified all the lots. At the closure of that 60 days, which I think occurs on July 3rd, we will then send out, well, actually, we're sending out these weed abatement notices, and then we can proceed to act if they do not follow up and clean up their own vacant lots. Then we can proceed and clean it up for them, and they'll get billed on their next property tax bill. So we are doing that for all of the vacant lots that have been identified in the commercial districts.
And when you say clean up, our code section says that they either have to build or they have to landscape with irrigation. So is that what we're telling them?
Sorry. That's the conversations we'll engage with once they get the notice from us and talk to them about that. Certainly there will be opportunities for using mulch and other things, and we'll be happy to work with them to beautify those.
Okay, and is there any vacant lots so far that haven't gotten their first notice?
I don't think any of them received their first notice because we're trying to document the 60 days first, and that'll be done, I believe, on July 3rd, Jeff? August 3rd, sorry.
August 3rd. So August 3rd, assumedly, we have all the vacant lots in town documented, and this, 60 days has passed, so you feel like you can go
Yes.
to a court if we have to and show that it in fact is a vacant lot under our code?
Correct.
And then they'll be notified?
Correct.
You're now a vacant lot? Okay, so after August 3rd, we will have all those vacant lots?
Correct.
Commercial?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Vixor.
Nothing, Mr. Mayor. I'm prepared to vote.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem.
Nothing, thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? Okay, I'll go ahead and call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. Thank you. That brings us to new business. Item 12 is adoption of a resolution addressing the required fiscal year 1920 Measure M2 eligibility submittal items to the Orange County Transportation Authority and an amended resolution approving the fiscal year 1718 Measure M2 expenditure report. Mr. Denny, do we have a staff report?
Yes, Mr. Sinacori has your staff report tonight.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members, community, thank you. Just want to correct something to start. It's actually 3 resolutions that we're asking the council to look at tonight. So the title was a little bit off there. But I wanted to mention that all Orange County cities are required to take certain actions annually. The council has done this every year for years. There's a series of eligibility items that OCTA requires us to adopt. That list is onerous and long, so we summarized it for you in a succinct fashion in the discussion section of your staff report. All the items have been checked by Orange County Transportation Authority, and they are prepared once the council approves all the items for staff to submit them to them, and the city of Dana Point would remain eligible for M2 funds. That's the whole purpose of this effort. Both Mr. Killebrew and I are available for questions the council may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Do we have any public comment?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, we'll go ahead and close the public comment. I'm going to go ahead and move all 5 items. Do I have a second?
Second.
I'll bring it back for discussion. Mr. Federico.
I don't really have any questions. I would like to thank Matt Sinacori for staying on top of all this and having such a well-detailed plan for road improvements.
Ms. Lewis?
No, I don't have any questions. I just would appreciate if you could explain for people, M2 is just the funds that we get to do our city streets, right? And we need to comply with certain requirements, and this is what this is doing.
Apologize. In the staff report, it talks about the voters did adopt Measure M, the first one, and then again enacted M2 in, I believe, 2011. There's certain things that are required for us to stay eligible for funding. That is not only fair share funding, where cities just get a portion of the sales tax that's collected, and to stay eligible for grant funds, which there's often programs out there that we could seek grant funding. All of the things that are in front of the council tonight give us the ability to stay eligible for all those things.
Great, thank you.
Mr. Vixor.
No comments, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem.
I have no comments.
All right, I have none other than to say thank you for all the hard work on this, and it's an important item for us to vote on tonight to stay eligible. I'm going to go ahead and call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No one? That passes unanimously. That brings us to item 13, which is the professional services agreement for supplemental plan check, inspection, and building official services. Mr. Denny, do we have a staff report?
Back to Mr. Schneider for the staff report.
Good evening again, council. Again, this item is a request to execute professional service agreements for plan check inspection and building official services The building department is continuing to experience normal then higher activity levels. Contract support is utilized to cover these peak demands while maintaining our in-house staffing levels. The city council previously authorized staff to renew several building support services contracts that were set to expire earlier this spring. Tonight's action would authorize staff to renew the remaining 3 support service contracts that are in place that are set to expire at the close of the fiscal year. Moving forward, we've coordinated all the contracts so they will run concurrent with the fiscal year calendar and can be approved in one action. The item also includes a request to amend an existing contract for our temporary building official services that are currently being utilized while the city goes through the recruitment process for a new building official. At this time, staff is not requesting any additional funds. Staff will monitor and assess the needs for staffing and plan check services and manage our expenditures to the council's approved budget. It should be noted that plan check and inspection services are funded through the collection of permitting fees. For plan check services, the city retains approximately 25% of the plan check fee to cover administrative and overhead costs, with the remainder going to the firm completing the plan check. Funds for the temporary building official will largely be offset by salary savings due to the vacancy. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, do we have any public comment?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and move all 5 items on 13. Do I have a second?
Second.
I'll bring it back to council. Mr. Federico,
No questions.
Ms. Lewis.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so on the staff report on page 2, it says the industry standard is typically between 70 to 75%, with the city retaining the remaining portion to cover administration of the contract. So my first question is, does the remaining portion cover our administrative costs for this contract? To anybody, I don't care.
As we're still rolling in our fee adjustments, we just got phase 2 approved at the last council meeting with the budget. Goes into effect in October. And then phase 3 gets us pretty close to, like was mentioned in the budget, the then FY16 numbers, but we'll be conducting an updated fee study. So we're marching toward full cost recovery. We are not there yet.
Okay.
But for these contracted out portions, it's a little confusing with just the contract portions that we do shift out. We're pretty close, but we still also retain and do some of the services in-house. So it's kind of a melded blend here, but we're getting closer. We're not there yet.
Okay. And I notice it's around, well, a couple of them around 200,000 a year. So we're using contract. So we don't want to use permanent staff because we may not need them, right? Is there anything like a temporary staff, temporary agency, which,
That's what these are.
they're contracts, right? But I'm saying,
This is where the temporary workers are.
Okay.
And we don't have access like we had prior to 2013. We used to have access to retired folks that did these work, but the majority of them in California are in the California Public Employee Pension, CalPERS.
Right.
And we can't hire them back.
Okay.
So we are quite dependent on these contract services, which they are our temp agency.
Okay. And is this something you anticipate that we're going to have to do for much longer? I mean, it still makes sense to do contract versus hire another person?
I will say hopefully
Okay.
that development continues at a higher than what had been typical pace in the past, but our projections are more conservative and expect it to tail off. And as these contracts will get reduced, our budget this year has about 3/4 of what had been the prior years. When we go out to 2021, we drop it down to half. So we're still expecting a tailing off of the higher level of development activity. We haven't seen it yet, but keep your fingers crossed that it continues.
Yeah.
It's a good thing.
Well, the only thing I'm thinking is, okay, it's like renting a house versus buying, right? If you rent for too long, you've spent all that money renting. Is there some metrics that become a crossover? So you go, okay, we just got to bite the bullet and hire somebody?
I'm looking at the folks that have to contract for these services and have also had to do recruitments. It's extremely difficult to also recruit people in this environment because the private sector is paying so much more,
Okay.
and we're paying for it as well. But yes, there is a point where there is a crossover, but where does that happen?
I don't know. That was my question to the experts. But that's something you're paying attention to.
And it's even more difficult to lay people off when the development activity slows down such that there's not a need for all that staff.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Mr. McSork.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just one question on the fiscal impact section where it talks about we've already budgeted $300,000 for the building division. Then it's asking us to approve the contracts in the not to exceed amounts of $200,000 each, plus the $60,000. Can you just explain to me the thinking there or what we're doing?
Yes, so we're holding the department to the council approved budget. They've got options to go to these different contracts. They may end up using just two of them to max out at 300,000, but they're going to have to come back and work through the city manager to go and ask you for more budget if we keep doing it. So they got to keep proving the need.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Just what I think is clarification. So these are essentially temp agencies that you're dealing with where you ask for them as needed. So even though the contract's for $200,000, you will use whatever portion of that when you need help. It could be $0 to $200,000 on each of these contracts. Is that correct?
That's correct. They're as needed. And I should point out one of the need for multiple contracts is we're competing for these resources with other cities and to meet our turnaround times. Some of them could be impacted from workload in other cities, so it gives us the flexibility to adjust to different plan check firms.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I didn't have any questions, but I thought I understood this very clearly, and after some of these questions, I need clarification.
Absolutely. I was going to bring it back for one more round.
Thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
You can go first if you like. I just
I'm
wanted to
good.
let you know I wasn't.
I'm good. Go ahead.
Thank you. So we've authorized $300,000. And this list 1 through 5 are not to exceeds, and I understand that they're greater than 300,000, but you're not spending more than 300,000 without coming back to city council. And this is on a as needed basis. And so we're really just authorizing you to go out and contract with these 5 firms in case you need to use them. Is that clear? Is that right?
That's correct.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Anyone else? Okay, I'll go ahead and call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Okay, it goes unanimously. Thank you very much. That brings us to item 14. That is the contract award for city council chambers, audio, video, and broadcast room upgrade. Mr. Denny, do we have staff report?
We'll break up the Matt show and go with Robert Sedita on this one.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. Item before you tonight is the award of contract for the council chambers and broadcast room audio video upgrade. As you're aware, last year we conducted a facility assessment looking at all our facilities, which included the council chambers. In that, it noted that a majority of the equipment in the chambers is over 10 years old and past its useful life. It needs to be upgraded to utilize current available technology, security features, and increase system reliability. In planning for these upgrades, staff visited other chambers and spoke with technology staff from other agencies regarding their technology implemented within their chambers and boardrooms. Following that feedback and our specific needs, we drafted an RFP and went out to bid on May 3rd. The scope is primarily to do a rip and replace of our old system, including replacement of all cameras, broadcast equipment, voting systems, microphones, workstation, desk modifications, the addition of a formal workstation for the deputy city clerk and staff, and a switch from PCs to tablets at the dais. The projector and speakers were not included as they've been recently improved. Staff received 5 proposals, and upon review, 1 proposal was deemed non-responsive. Staff rated each proposal and conducted interviews with the 2 top-rated vendors, and based upon that, staff is recommending award to Golden Star Technologies, Inc. In addition to being the lowest bidder, they provided a number of new and innovative pieces of equipment within their proposal. The projected project cost is just over $233,000. This includes a 3-year extended warranty and service period, as well as a 15% budget contingency for the project. Funding for this project is provided through the Public Education and Government Funds, also known as PEG fees, from Cox Communication for the cable franchise fees. Staff is recommending the award of the AV upgrades to Golden Star Technologies, and I am available to answer any questions the council has.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, do we have any public comment?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, I'll go ahead and close that, bring it back to council. Mr. Federico?
And just a quick question or clarification, Robert. I just want to clarify that these are not general fund monies that we could use somewhere more effectively.
No, they're designated for this use.
Yeah, and because of that, support this. And there are some innovative things in here that'll cut down on paper and probably maintenance fees in the future. So because of that, I'm for it.
Thank you, Ms. Lewis.
Yes, thank you. I had the same comment, same question. This is not coming out of our money. And Ms. Ip, you should be very excited to see all
That's
these
going
dead
away.
trees. They will live to grow another day. So yes, I'm very excited about this. And hopefully people at home will be able to understand us better too. Thanks.
Mr. Exort?
No further comments, Mr. Mayor. Thank
Mayor
you.
Pro Tem?
Just a comment and agreement. As somebody who's worked in high tech my whole life, and we did away with paper years ago, having to go back to paper was a major adjustment for me. So if I can reduce the paper and right now not to have to scan 2 inches of council book into my own computer every week or every 2 weeks because it doesn't come that way, it'll make my life a lot easier. So I support this.
Thank you. By the way, this does come in a PDF format. You could just download it. You don't have to scan it.
Not with everything you just said.
Anyway, this was one important when I was talking to City Manager Denny about this for a while. This has always driven me kind of crazy. All the different agencies I sit on, I get 5 big binders like this a week. It seems like, and it always irked me that we're going through so much paper and more importantly, toner. And toner is not nice for our environment. So this was very exciting for me. I finally got there. I've actually implemented some of these policies over at OCFA, and hopefully I'll get to OCTA and TCA as well. So I'm absolutely in support of this. Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and take the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nobody. That passes unanimously. Thanks again. That brings us to our final item tonight, award of contract for the, oh, I'm sorry, not our final. We got 2 more. Number 15, award of contract for the construction of the annual residential roadway resurfacing project fiscal year 18-19. Do I have staff report?
Yes, sir. We'll let Mr. Senatore have the last word.
Thank you very much. Good evening, Mayor and Council again. We're very excited in Public Works that this project has finally hit your dais tonight. We're asking that you award a project to All American Asphalt for the construction of the annual residential resurfacing project. Councilmember Federico mentioned earlier that we take road maintenance seriously. We have a very rigorous pavement management plan that identifies the streets that are included in every project we do. I want to compliment Werner Abrahano of our staff and Reggie Hirado, who worked very hard on this project, and their entire team. We did put the job out, finish the design, put the job out, received 4 competitive bids. All American Asphalt is the low bid. We're recommending approval as they've done many projects here in the city and know they could do a good job. Also tonight, we're asking that the council authorize an expenditure to move forward with next year's project and start the design process moving so that we can hit target schedules. Myself and the city managers are available for questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Senatore. Madam Clerk, any public comments? We have 1 public comment, Tony Nelson.
Good evening, Tony Nelson, Capistrano Beach. I just have a couple of questions, probably for Matt, about the road work that's going to be done on Via California. As council may know, Via California is a very important entry into Capistrano Beach from Las Ramblas. It's one of our main entrances, except for Doheny Park Road, and then up through the Palisades and Camino Cap. And I'm really pleased to see that we're finally going to do some work on that road because it's kind of a mess. So I'm glad the road and the curbs are going to be fixed. And I'm also kind of excited about the islands because I think they will slow down traffic on that street, which has been a big issue, especially with school commuters in the morning. They've been complaining about the children taking their lives in their hands as they race down there. But I have a couple of other questions about it. There's a stop sign right at the top of the hill. It's probably on San Juan's property, just as you come into the overpass. And cars constantly block the stop sign itself. They're right on top of it. So if we could talk to, I guess we'd have to talk to San Juan Capistrano, but if we could get that red striped to keep the cars away from that stop sign, because you can't see that thing at night and someone's going to get killed. And then number two, if the city would apply some pressure along with Capo Cares to Caltrans, we have been bugging them for years to do something about the horrible rusty sidewalk. I mean, this is what we deal with in Capo Beach. This is our entrance. We have this rusty sidewalk over an overpass for the 5 that is just horrible. It's just stripes of rust. They cleaned it once when I nagged them, but within 3 weeks it was back, which was just a waste of taxpayer funds because they won't replace the rusty fence that drips and creates the rusty sidewalk. So this is our government at work, and I need your help. And then also, speaking of rust, at the very bottom of the hill on the same entrance, I've been dealing with the city of San Juan, begging them to do something about a really ugly rusty box at the bottom of the hill on the left. They swear they have no idea what's in the rusty box. I don't know why they don't just open it, but they don't know. But that's our entrance to our community. It has flowers on one side from the community, the HOA, and on the other side, we get a rusty box. So I'd appreciate any help that you can give to help us with that. And then last question, I'd like to know when this work is going to happen so that we can alert the community. So that's it. Thank you very much. Glad to see it being done.
Thank you. Any additional public comments?
No additional.
Thank you. Just a quick point of order here. Did we have a motion and a second on the last item?
I believe we didn't.
Okay, I just realized that. How do we fix that? It was just on the
Yeah, we should finish this item up and then just go back.
go back to it. Okay. All right, I'll bring it. Public comments are closed. I'll go ahead and bring it back to council. I'm going to go ahead and move the item.
Second.
Both actions, actually.
Second.
Okay. Mr. Federico, you have any questions?
Nope.
Ms. Lewis?
Nope.
Mr. Vixoric?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Mayor Pro Tem?
No.
Okay, I'll go ahead and call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nobody. Passes unanimously. And let's go back to item 14, and I will move the item.
I will second that.
No, we had the second.
Oh,
No, you second.
yeah, I have a second. Yes.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nobody. Passes unanimously. Okay. All right. So we're all fixed. That brings us to item 16. It's our final item of the evening. And this is the consideration of amendment to the city manager employment agreement and payment of annual bonus. There is no staff report. That's ours. This is something that we didn't do last year. There was a lot going on, and so we decided to take another look at Mr. Denny's contract, and he's done an outstanding job for this community over the last 2 years. We're very lucky to have him. Everybody's growing. We've had a couple hiccups in there, and we've all learned for it and progressed. His communication with this council is outstanding. His involvement with our community is outstanding. He knows what's going on, and he engages. He engages with all the different HOAs. There's a meeting with Capo Cares, and a standing meeting, I believe. So he's very involved. And when we went to him, we started to take a look at what his contract looked like, and we had a negotiation about he gets these evaluations quarterly, and we sat back to take a look at it, what was in there, and his contractually we have to evaluate a 5% bonus annually, and we gave that to him last year, and the recommendation was to give it to him again this year. However, he didn't receive a raise last year, and that was a big issue. I believe we have, if not the best city manager in the county, close to it. And he is not compensated anywhere near that. He's actually in the bottom third of compensation for it. So the recommendation was to extend a 5% raise to Mr. Denny. And the interesting thing about that is it's only 2.5% annually. Now, the good thing about doing it every 2 years is it's not compounded. So it's 2.5% and basically 5% over 2 years. If you did it 2.5 and then another 2.5, you compound that first 2.5. So we offered that to him. We offered a 2-year contract extension because we do believe in what he's doing is good for the community. He'll remain a valid asset for the community. And we also, a couple more things, something we had never put into his contract that our previous city manager had, and most city managers do have, is he gets 90-day protection on the front end and back end of an election. And basically the reason for that is your city manager should never be an election issue. You should be talking about your candidates and not being worried about what's happening with your city manager. So basically it means he can't be fired 90 days before or 90 days after an election. And then finally, it was his vehicle. We initially had thought that he probably wouldn't need one. We could do a stipend. However, you can't really put lights and sirens on a private vehicle. And there are instances where our city manager is expected to be on an emergency site and he needs lights to get there. So we decided to extend a vehicle to him, basically like for like in what he has currently. So that's basically what we offered to him. Bringing it back to the count, I guess, do we have to take public comment on this?
We have no public comments.
Okay. So I'll close the public comment. I'm going to bring it back to council for comments or questions, but that's my recommendation. I'm going to move that we extend this offer.
I think, Mr. Mayor, was that a motion to approve the bonus and adopt the new?
Yes, and adopt the new contract.
Contract. I'll second the motion.
Any questions? Ms. Lewis? No? Big Sword? White? Did we get it
No,
all?
we went through
Did you
this
have
with,
anything? I'm sorry.
No, I'll just say I concur with the positive job that he's been doing.
Okay.
And I'll be voting for this. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem?
we went through them, as you know, and looked at where his salary is and how we manage it effectively within revenue growth plan and other things. I think the agreement put together was rewarded him for his growth as a new city manager and how fast he's come up to speed and his fair contract. So I'll support it.
Thank you. So I'm going to go ahead. Anything else before we vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nobody? Passes unanimously. Congratulations, Mr. Denny. It was well earned.
Thank you.
Okay. That brings us back to council reports. Mr. Federico?
I've turned in my list of meetings, and in response to a number of the public comments tonight about the trolley hop, I would just like to say the trolley is a fantastic service, and it's more than a service. It's become an icon
feature.
And it's disappointing for me to see us talk badly about it at all. And so I cannot believe that anybody knew or believed or had any reason to believe that there was any sort of fundraiser associated with this thing. But what I would like to ask Mr. Denny to do in the future is see if you can get the Chamber of Commerce or some group to organize this thing correctly. I realize trolley hops are probably not the sort of thing that the city organizes, but there's got to be a group here in town that would take this on in the future and do it right.
Gladly.
And that's all I have.
Ms. Lewis.
Thank you. I do have a comment about the Dana Point DPTA, Dana Point Taxpayers Association. This is not about the trolley. I don't think there's anybody out there who doesn't love our trolley. That was not the point of any of these speakers. So I just want that really clear. This was all about the Dana Point Taxpayers Association and political entanglement in our city the symbols and icons of our city and a very contentious political PAC. So can I have my first slide, please? So in 2017, I spoke against this city's $1,000 payment to this very PAC, Dana Point Taxpayers Association. I was told this was for a video, use of a video, although I honestly don't know what video, when it was used or anything about it, but I let it go. But here we are again. And I can't say this strongly enough because I feel very strongly about this. I know a lot of residents feel strongly about this, and I think everybody here, including the city, has to have a sensitivity to crossing this political line between what looks like a city event and what isn't a city event, and in particular, this Dana Point Taxpayers Association, which I cannot tell you the low esteem I hold that association in. So there's much about the trolley hop, the way it was presented to residents, that angers me and angers many of our residents. I got a lot of calls and texts on this. The Dana Point Taxpayers Association, as you've heard, their stock and trade is lying and finance people and PACs that lie for them. They are currently, as you've heard, the subject of a libel suit and an FPPC ongoing investigation. The deception is where the anger is palpable. You know, if they want to hold a political event, fine, hold a political event. They have every right to do that. No one has any objection to that. But I would like everybody to look at this. This is their poster. This is an actual city poster. This is our no smoking. You tell me that they don't look nearly identical. The deception is where the issue is: more lying, more misleading, more deception from a political PAC that we saw interfere in our election with lying and deception. The political organization used our free trolley to make money. The trolley is great. We love the trolley, but it's intended for visitors and residents and people to go and use our trolleys. It's not intended to save a political PAC money, so they don't have to hire somebody to take them around to the businesses if this is the way they want to do a fundraiser. And I can imagine that the grant money that we get for this trolley anticipates that it's being used for residents and visitors and not to serve some political purpose. The carelessness of the vetting process is very troubling to me. The city codes were violated, allowing this poster to be put on both sides of our trolley stop signposts and remain there for days without any code enforcement on it at all. My question now, does this open the city to discrimination lawsuit when we prohibit others from using this signpost? Because now we're regulating content. We allowed it here. This was a private event. This was a political event. And the fact that this was promoted on an Instagram just added to that deception that it was a city event. These people, I cannot express strongly enough their interference with our city council election. The second one, please. Is that the 496? Okay, so we see and the next one and the next one. The 496 Dana Point Taxpayers Association file that's sitting on our city's website shows that the purpose of the Dana Point Taxpayers Association was to oppose Charles Payne, oppose Joe Jager, and oppose Mark McGinn. And they spent tens of thousands of dollars doing that. The next slide, please. And as has been talked about, who funds the Dana Point Taxpayers Association? G&H Holding, Raintree, Majestic, 10,000 each. These are businesses that interact with our city and need permits from this city to make their money. The next one, please. G&H Holdings, Dana Point Taxpayers Association gave G&H Holdings $10,000 so that they could appeal a decision on treatment of a real estate development in Dana Point. So not only are they interfering with our elections, but they're interfering with the enforcement of our zoning codes. And finally, the last slide, please. $15,000 Dana Point Taxpayers Association was to support the no on H, yes on I, a very contentious and divisive ballot initiative that pitted residents against the city. And the words on this poster, sponsored by, well, that doesn't help at all. That in no way differentiates it from our summer concert series, where we now have sponsored by, and we prominently display the name of the sponsor. So there's no way looking at this that just because it said sponsored by, you would not know that this was not in fact a city event. Finally, the DPTA, Dana Point Taxpayers Association, and the Dana Point Lantern District Alliance are two organizations which appear to be shrouded in mystery. I Googled the Dana Point Lantern District Alliance. There was nothing. It said there was a thank you for the trolley hop, some pictures of the trolley hop, and this poster with the portion that wasn't cut off when it was distributed all over the city, talking about the Dana Point Taxpayers Association giving their ID number and saying that contributions would not be tax deductible. I asked the city, who are the Lantern District Alliance officers, directors, members? Do we even know? And who are the officers, members, and directors of the Dana Point Taxpayers Association? I have no idea who that is, and I can't find any of that either. And apparently that's what they're looking for in this lawsuit as well. So I say to the city, this must never happen again. There must be a bright line that can never be crossed between the city and any political event, not just this one, but any political event or organization. But as I said, the sensitivity to Dana Point Taxpayers Association just has put it on steroids. By definition, political organizations have agendas that represent just a fraction of the people. And in contrast, the city, its officials, and us electeds must demonstrate that we represent all of the residents. Thank you for hearing me out.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have nothing to report. I turned in my list of meetings to the city clerk already.
I have turned in my list of meetings to the city clerk, and I have nothing else to report. Thank you.
Thank you. I've also turned in my list of meetings, but I do have a couple things to report. I had a wonderful day on Saturday. I got to go down to the Porsche concourse and select the Mayor's Choice Award. And I picked out a beautiful 1984 Porsche 930 Turbo that had been completely restored. It was absolutely beautiful, but it barely won. there was another Porsche out there that was, I don't even know what year it was, what the body style. It looked like an old 911, had a surf rack on top of it. And I almost took it. I gave him an honorable mention. I said, if you show up to Dana Point in a Porsche with a surf rack, you're probably going to get the Mayor's Choice Award. But I couldn't quite pull the trigger on that. But it was a lot of fun. There was a lot of people there. The vehicles were amazing. And the organizers were just beyond fantastic. They knew these vehicles inside and out. And everybody around was having a good time. I also attended the Dana Point High School graduation. A lot of guys, most of us have already gone through that. I haven't. I get to go to graduation every year for the next 3 because my kids will be going through them too. So, but what a great event. If you had any concern for our future, come and meet these valedictorians that speak. There is all the hope in the world for our future. These kids are brilliant. They think on a level that kids back when I was graduating didn't even comprehend. And maybe that's because of the internet and everything else is so much more widely available to them. But they were fantastic. And finally, I want to thank staff for all the hard work on this agenda this week. We had a lot of big contracts that we needed to look at. There were projects, the M2 in particular, to make sure that we continue to gain those public funds to improve transportation and mobility in our community. And with that, I'm going to bring it back to staff reports. Mr. Dang, do you have a report?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. With respect to the last item on your agenda, I want to thank you again for the opportunity and pleasure and honor it is to serve as your city manager. I look forward to continuing to do so. With respect to the questions related to the trolley hop event, as the mayor asked earlier, the city did not organize the event. This was the 5th year of the event. We've worked with the same organizer, resident, business owner over the past 5 years. She did not indicate that any of the names or organizations had changed. We had just worked with her as we had the previous 4 years. So it was as much a surprise to us as anyone else that the event had, I think, a number of sponsors this time, 2 or 3, more than who had been involved in the past. We will certainly take Councilman Federico's recommendation and discuss with the chamber the potential of a future trolley hop and shop because it has been our intention, remains our intention to help support the businesses in town and would like to continue to do so with council's support. So thank you.
I have nothing this evening.
Once again, Mr. Danny, congratulations. Congratulations and thanks for all the hard work you do for the community. With that, we're at adjournment to the next regular meeting of the City Council will be held on July 16th, 2019 at 5 p.m. in the City Council Chamber located at 33282 Golden Lantern, Suite 210, Dana Point, California. We're adjourned.